What's up, Club 100? Hope you guys who watched the first video about the sales training, go back and watch that one first, and then you can go back and reference to this one first or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But what I want to talk about is the 7 that I didn't mention in video number 1. So if you guys go inside the group, you'll see the first video I did, which was a public video that's also on my personal wall. And I talked about telling is not selling, which I'll go over them again. But I'll go more in detail here. But I wanted to give you guys a break of each one, 10 things that I've taught at seminars, that I've taught to salespeople. If you want to get good at sales or recruiting, because they're the same exact thing, then you got to know these things, and let's talk about them now. So number 1 is make an offer, okay? Give a deadline. So one of the things that most people, when it comes to sales or when they're selling people, is that they make an offer to the people, but they never give them a deadline of when it has to be closed. So like recently when we were selling solar panel, there was a deadline because at any time anybody can get solar whenever they want. So whenever they're ready, once they get the quote, they can sign up and there's no need or hurry except the fact that they're going to save 50, 60% a month on their bill. Well, sometimes that's not enough for people. So then we'll have programs like where we give away a phone, or like recently we were giving away $1,000 for any new solar client and $1,000 referral to the person that was selling them. So it gave them an incentive. But the deadline was always, the problem was in the beginning, we were talking about it, but we never gave a person a deadline. So whenever you're doing sales and you're making an offer, whether that's you're trying to sell them some products or services, or you're trying to sell them the opportunity or whatever, there's always got to be a sense of urgency. Even when you guys are doing these ads, as you can see, it's funny that when you put a sense of urgency and a deadline on when they can take up the position of being a social media influencer or whatever your ad says, then that's when they respond, when you give them a deadline, right? So whatever you make an offer in sales, make sure that the huge thing that you need to do is have a deadline. There has to be a loss if they don't take the action now, or a benefit if they take the offer today, right? But either way, there has to be some certain deadline, or else what ends up happening is then you have a person that delays and they'll just take their sweet time. So a lot of times what I do, for me, is if I always have a limit to how many people I want to train, how many people I want to coach every month, or how many clients I'm going to take to do ads for, I always do that. Even the last promotion I did, I offered it to 5, and it was once those 5 spots are gone, it's over. So I might give you a great offer, but you better believe there's going to be a deadline to it, because then if you don't put a deadline on your offers, then people just sit around. So think about that when you're doing your next email. Think about that when you're doing your next text, or when you're doing your next post. There always has to be a deadline. Then forget about just the deadline. Remind people of the deadline. So if you're going to give them a 72-hour deadline, then the next day you're telling them they got 48 hours. The next day you're telling them that this is the last day. 24 hours, it's over. It's gone. Never again. This offer's vanished. You'll never see it again. So back in the day, you guys, there's a lot of ways you can do this. You can make an offer to people that, they get something if they make a decision now, or there's a loss if they don't take action by the deadline. All right. So hopefully you guys get that. Number 2, this is very good. This is for all you salespeople. The number 1 objection that you receive is the one you can't overcome. Okay. I used to teach this a lot when I was teaching salespeople, when I had recruited people for my sales office. We used to teach it all the time. The number 1 excuse that you get all the time is because you haven't figured out how to overcome it. Simply what that means is, if you keep getting the money excuse, then that's why you are getting the money excuse, because you don't know what to say or when you get that excuse. When I used to teach people how to make phone calls and call up leads for me and try to set up appointments, if you're going to get an excuse like, this is not a good week, if that's something you get up coming all the time, or it's always timing, or I got to talk to whoever, then it's probably important that you overcome that. So if you always have, my wife, they always get the wife excuse, or vice versa, the husband excuse, well, then maybe it's probably good you have both of them there, so that when you, at the end, making the offer, you don't have to hear that excuse and have that delay. Or when it comes to, if someone keeps telling you that, right now is a bad timing, or whatever the excuse is, you need to learn how to overcome that, because the number 1 excuse you guys are always going to get is the one that you can't overcome. And what ends up happening is, once you learn how to overcome that excuse, whatever that is, and you guys can post in the group, you can post in the chat if any excuses you guys get a lot of. Once you learn how to overcome that objection, how to overcome that excuse, then the only thing happens, now you get a new one. Now you get a second one that you don't know how to overcome. And then here's what happens with people that do sales or recruiting for a living. They don't ever try to figure out how to overcome these. They don't. Like, for us, we had when we had a sales team, we used to have most common objections, and there would be like, if you ever get this excuse, and this is what you say, and we would teach people, if they say this is what you say. So this is something that you guys should only not only learn on your own, but this is also something that you guys should be teaching to your team, or teaching to the people that you have on your in your company or your business or your opportunity, because they're getting objections, and instead of them asking you what to say or figure out how to overcome that, they just give up. And that's what most people do that are in sales. They get a couple excuses and they give up, right? Like, I get all kinds of objections, and a lot of the times, if they give me some objection on the money, then we could break it up in payments. If they give me an objection on the timing, well then, let's set it all up and we'll have it set by this time. But you got to understand that if you're going to do sales and you're going to do any kind of recruitment, that if you keep getting objections, it's because you haven't figured out how to overcome them. You haven't figured out, what do I say next time the person says X? What do I say? So then they will realize that excuse is really most of the time lame. They really are. That's what they are. Excuses. They're lame. And until you figure out how to overcome them, you're going to struggle when you're doing sales. All right. Number 3, something I taught all of you guys, which I thought some of you guys caught on, some of you guys did it, but customers call you or they come and meet you. Always have the customer or client call you or come meet you. Why? There's a couple reasons for that. One, because it's positioning, right? If they need you, they will call you. If they need your assistance or help, they will meet you, right? Instead of you guys running across the world to go meet somebody because you want to hurry up and make a sale, or you'll basically chase a person down and call them every 10 seconds. Even when a person you call the person and then they don't answer, then you freak out. And then instead of trying to call that person back, then you'll probably stalk them, right? That's not good. See, I'd rather them call me or come meet me, because if they call me or they're supposed to call me now, right? And make sure it's very clear when you tell them that, hey, call me at this time. I will have calls probably coming in before and after, so I don't want to go over on a call. So call me. And then that's a way for you to qualify them as well. And it positions you as a person that says, hey, you need whatever it is I'm offering. I'm not going to chase you down. So number 3 is customers always are calling you. Customers come and meet you. Now, when I would do the meetings, because I haven't done them in a long time, but if I would meet with somebody and if they were 10 minutes late, I was gone. I'm assuming they're not coming. And a lot of the times when I would work with salespeople, they thought that was dumb, because they'd sit there for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. But look, if I was really successful at what I'm doing, I wouldn't be waiting around for anybody, right? So if I'm successful, why am I waiting 30 minutes for a person to prospect one individual? It shows you're desperate. It shows that you're willing to basically move around on their time. Not going to happen. I wouldn't do it. No way. So my response to that is, have them always come meet you. Have them always come call you. And the main reason is so that you position yourself. Second reason is so then you can hold that person accountable that didn't call or didn't show, right? So like at 10 minutes late, I'm leaving. If that person shows up after I've left, they'll call me because it's happened. Hey, where are you at? I'm here. Oh, I thought you weren't coming because I've been there for 10 minutes waiting for you. Same thing for the call. If they were late to a phone call, right? If they were late, I wouldn't even answer, right? Now, I haven't had someone late on a phone call in a while, but back in the day, that's how strict I was, is that if you came to an appointment, if you called me 2 minutes late, I didn't answer, and I made you reschedule, because I'm letting you know from the beginning, I don't need you, you need me. You guys always got to make sure you know that, to let these people know. It's just another way to qualify and holding people accountable. Number 4, overcome the excuses before they occur, meaning kind of like the number 1 objection you receive is the one you can't overcome. This one's a little different. If you already know that there's a possible chance that they're going to give you a certain excuse, then overcome it in your presentation before it even happens. So if you know there's a possibility of money, then you could say it now. Hey, and don't worry about money, because if you can't pay it all up front, then always put on your credit card, whatever. So whatever you say, number 4 is overcome the excuses in your presentation. And you guys know what I'm talking about. If there's something that that most people say, or most common objection that you might get at the end, then you might want to overcome those in the meeting, so then they can't say it later, right? And that's why when I used to run the salespeople, in the last video I did, I was talking about how people would say their grandma died, or their aunt died, or somebody always died in their family, or in the hospital, that's another one, or their car was in a ditch. At the meetings, I would tell people, the Friday training, I know they're coming back on Tuesday, they had a sales quota hit of 500, and I would say it in the meeting on Friday, don't come back Tuesday telling me that your grandma passed away, that your car is in a ditch, or that you got kidnapped by aliens. I overcome all their excuses so that on Tuesday or Monday's meeting, they can only tell me what really happened instead of making up some story because it gets them out of being lazy or getting them out of them failing and not doing their thing or whatever. But again, it's always back. Same thing to sales. I'm overcoming all the excuses so that if they do arise, I can always reference back and say, "Oh, remember we talked about it earlier. You know that something common that happens, blah, 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 blah." You guys get it. All right. Number 5, I talked about it in the video, so you might want to watch it, but I'll give you guys some of it right here. Telling is not selling. And what that means, let me get my water. Telling is not selling means, in all honesty, most people that do sales or recruiting, they talk too much. Period. They talk way too much. They're trying so hard thinking that if they talk more and they say more little cute little phrases and quick little phrases that they're going to get people to buy. That's not true. Actually, you're going to do more damage than anything because when you talk too much, you sound desperate. Even when people are doing messengers or doing inbox messaging, they'll send this whole freaking paragraph. Why use 87 words when I could have said the same thing in 3 or 4 words, 5 words, which makes that person have to come back with dialogue, right? And a lot of times when I'm talking to anybody, I'm always end my responses with a question, which almost expects the person that they have to respond now. Instead of just talking and then it just dies out and there's no more conversation, you got to get good at asking questions. It goes to the point. Number 5 is telling is not selling. Ask questions. Ask questions. Make them dialogue. Make them have to come back with responses. Because then that's also another reason why is that whoever asks the questions is in control. So whoever is the person that's questioning is in control. And a lot of times what you guys will see is when you're doing sales, you might get caught up where they take control because they start asking all these damn questions. And instead of you doing what you're supposed to do, which is ask them questions, analyze them, show them their problem, how you have a solution, you end up becoming like answering every stupid question they have, which is not relevant most of the time. And like one of the questions that people would ask when we were running sales offices, well, how many managers have you promoted, or how many people have you, how many locations do you have, or how many locations are currently in the company? So anytime they ask me a question that doesn't need a response, especially when it's a group full of people and they're trying to like front me out, I would always ask, how's that relevant to your success? Same thing. Even with clients who ask me, what about this person? What about that? Hey, if you want to see testimonials, we can give you that. But how is another person's success or failure? How's that relevant to you? It's not, right? So then why are we talking about that? So number 5 is get good at asking questions. Get good at being in control of the conversation, control the presentation, control a group presentation, doesn't matter. Ask tons of questions. Make the people respond. Make the people think, right? Number 6, sell the results, not the product or service. So right now, since a bunch of you guys are in CBD, not all of you, but a bunch of you guys are in CBD, then you're talking about how CBD is doing 24 to 25 billion by 2025. That's the conversation that you're having because that's the result. That's what's going to happen. That's what's been predicted. It's going to do 25 billion. So the only question you're asking the person that you're trying to prospect, and this could work for any business, but I'm just using this as an example, is then how much of that 25 billion do you want, right? So number 6 is sell the result, not the product or service. A lot of times, again, people will go into the product and the science behind it. It's a big problem I have with BioRains. All they want to talk about is the freaking science of the product. No one cares about that. What they care about is the results, right? No one cares about prevention. They always want cure, right? Why do you think the gyms are packed up in the beginning of the year? Because they have been doing nothing all year, and now it's like a New Year's resolution thingy, and now they're excited, and they'll join the gym and be gone in 2 weeks, right? So it's the same thing because they joined because they thought they're going to get results, but forgot that they were lazy and forgot that they love food, right? They forgot all about that. Number 6, though, keep it to this, guys. Whenever you're selling anything, doesn't matter what that is, product or service, sell the results. Show people what it does. Like if I'm talking about ads, I can show everybody in this group's results. So you can't debate me anymore because it's not about results. That we're going to get you, right? There's no debate about that, right? So that's why I start the conversation with that. Sometimes you see me and Jennifer talk about all the seminars we've conducted and show pictures of all the things we've done because sometimes people got to see, look, we've already done all of that. We've already done the seminars. We've done the webinars. We've done the coaching programs. We've done the masterminds. We've done the ads. We've done all of that. So we can show you results if that's what you want to see. And that's all they care about is what they're going to see as a result. And if you're selling a product or service, show them what it's going to do. Don't talk about everything that's in it. They don't care about that. If you're trying to sell them on an opportunity, you're selling them on all the money that could be made there. You're not selling them on how great it is and how the leaders are great and how great the company is. No one cares about that. And how great the conventions are. No one cares about that. They care about what's in it for them. What am I going to get out of this? What are the results? That's all I talk to people is what I'm going to get for them. Got it? Number 7. Talked about this on the other video. Go for the no maybes for lazies. So true, because a lot of the times, anybody that does sales, whether that's recruiting or that's doing just selling a product or service, you guys will accept so many excuses. And every excuse you get that's not conducting a sale at that moment, at that time, is really just a maybe. And I don't care. One time I had a debate with 2 girls that work for me. I said, I don't care if your grandma promises you she's going to buy it in 2 weeks. She's lying to you. One lady got all mad. I don't know her grandma. I don't even know if she went to go see her grandma. But she right away started telling me, oh, you don't know my grandma. She's an honest person. Prove me wrong then. Because I'm telling you right now, if your grandma didn't buy it right now, right, the safety equipment, your grandma didn't buy it right now, trust me, your grandma's going to have an excuse not to buy it later. Also, as you guys know, when it comes to doing sales in general, people are excited at the moment that you present it to them. You give them 2-3 days, they forgot your name and forgot what you sell. So that's the reason why when you go to a car dealership, they don't let you leave. They do not let you. Oh, we're going to talk to the finance manager. We're going to go talk. So I hate car dealerships. It's why I'm glad that we found Carvana, because I hate dealerships. I really do. And I bought a car recently from a dealership, and I swear they let us sit there forever. At least buy me dinner. Buy me some drinks. Do something, man. Because I'm sitting here while you're wasting time trying to figure out how to get me finance, and I hate it. I really do. So, but at the end of the day, whatever you do, if you want to get better at sales, get to the bottom line. Get to the decision. Get to the no, man. Stop wasting time on on all the excuses they give you, right? Number 8. Our job as a person that's selling a product or service is we articulate their problem and then we twist it with a knife. I think me and Jen are really good at that because we'll tell people online, you're following the gurus, you're doing this, you're messaging people, you're doing X, Y, Z, but let's be honest, none of that shit's working. Let's be honest, right? For the people that basically have had weight problems, you might want to start looking at your nutrition. Maybe that's why you need the shake, right? If a person has pain, you might want to look at CBD because that's why you're in pain. You're not even taking anything unless you want to keep popping pills that'll destroy your liver and basically kill you. Then go ahead and keep doing that, right? So we as marketers, we as salespeople, we articulate their problem and then we twist it with a knife. Because I always say, it's like what I learned from Dan Kennedy, and I teach this all the time. If you're not pissing off somebody by noon every day, you're not really saying much because I am not trying to piss the people off. Because the people that have the problem, whether that's weight loss, whether it's still fat, whether they still have skin problems, whether they still have pain problems, whether they still are not getting leads, they're still not building their business, that's their problem. They already know that. So my job is to twist it with the knife. And the ones that get pissed off won't be truthful to themselves and don't want to hear it anymore. The ones that hear it and it's painful, but they also know that I'm true and that I'm right, those are the people that usually become a great customer, client for you long term because they've finally admitted it that no matter how much they don't like what we're talking about, it's true and they're not getting any results. So don't be mad at me. Be mad at yourself because we now told you. You now know it. You now cannot deny it. We've told you your exact problem. Now figure out what the hell to do about it or do nothing. And you'll be exactly where you were 2 weeks from now before you met me. That's how I talk to people. Some people, they love it. Most people, they hate it. Pisses them off. But I don't care because I'd rather be respected than liked. And I don't have time to sit there and BS with people. And I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I'm getting more impatient every year with people, even more. And maybe that's what I needed because I remember back in the day when I was running a sales force, and I'm talking about younger days, I was very impatient with salespeople. If you weren't getting results out the gate, then get away from me, right? And this one kid that was doing solar for us, literally, he was talking the big game. I sell cars. I can do all this. Okay. He didn't make any deals. Hasn't even showed us one bill from a client or a customer. So I removed him from the group and I unfriended him. Then he went and talked to Courtney, which is the one that introduced me to him, which 2 of you guys in the group know who Courtney is. And literally, he right away say, what happened? Is Joe mad at me or whatever? He's like, no, he just thought you weren't going to do it anymore, which is true. I thought if you haven't got us a deal yet, you don't really want to get any deals. You really don't want to make money with solar, so then buy. And then guess what? We bring him right after I kicked him out. Right the next day he gets a bill and he gets a deal going. Then again, now he wastes time with that person, and the person's already shown how much money they can save up to 70% of the bill. What's the holdup? Well, it's a friend of his, so again, his friend said, like, I gotta do more research on it, blah, blah, blah. I gotta really look into it. What is there to look into? All he has to ask is, well, what's the one problem holding you back from doing solar? That's it. Because once he asks that question, the guy has to respond honestly. It's because of X. It's because of this. Okay, that's it. So, number 8, articulate the problem, right? And twist it with a knife. Number 9, people buy with emotion and they justify it with logic, all right? It's how we buy cars, how we buy homes, how we buy TVs. It's how we buy furniture. It's how we buy everything. We know you can't afford it for the most part sometimes, but you buy it because it's pretty, because it looks good, because it makes you feel better. So we're emotional people. We buy things that make us feel good. So a lot of times when you're not selling anything is because they don't even feel like they're going to feel any less worse if they buy from you, right? So they have to feel better about the purchase. They have to emotionally feel like, oh, if I invest in this or I buy this, that's my life is going up another level. I've solved my problem now. My life's going to be better as a result of doing this, right? And a lot of times people don't do that. So you should put a lot more emotion in your videos, a lot more emotional pain points in your marketing, a lot more emotions and pain points in your texts and your emails, because people buy with the most emotions and they justify with logic, right? So like we'll use a car as an example. They'll buy with emotions. It's pretty. It's the one they wanted. It's everything they've ever dreamed of. And the logic is, oh, the payment's only $280 a month. I can do that. Not realizing that the car is worth 15 grand, but after financing, they're paying 28, right? So the car is not even worth the payment, but they don't care because they justify with logic. Oh, it's 288. I can afford that. That's not smart thinking, but that's how they legitimately tell themselves they should do that, right? So at the end of the day, number 9 is to be good at sales. Learn. People buy with emotions. They do not buy with logic. So don't start the conversation with logic because they won't see that. You can start it with tons of emotions, and then you can help them justify it with simple 1 or 2 logics. Not too many. Don't overdo it and try to oversell them on it, how this is the best decision they've ever made, because they will see right through the BS. Just be upfront with people and be like, look, you said this, you have this, we got that. This is going to get you what you wanted. What's the holdup? What are we waiting for, right? All right, number 10. Talked about this in the other video, but I'll talk to you guys again. A lot of the times, like when it comes to the ads, since most of you guys are doing ads, and when it comes to you guys getting any kind of leads in general, doesn't matter where it's from, whether it's someone you met, inbox, doesn't matter. You need to really qualify that person before you even talk, right? Like if you're selling a high ticket item, right, of 500 or more, to me that's high ticket, or at least decent high ticket. Well, then you got to already know, can the person even afford it? Because then why am I talking to a lady that works at Walmart, right? No offense to that has 3 kids, right? She just got divorced. She barely has ends meet, can make ends meet. Unless she has a credit score that I'm not aware of, she's not going to be able to afford it. So then a lot of times what people will do is they'll talk to a bunch of people that want to do it but can't afford it. Well, you kind of already should have known that before you even went into it. But that all has to do with qualifying people before you even try to sell them. Like, just because they watched one of your videos and they loved it, right? And they thought, oh, this is an amazing video. And they understand everything. It makes sense. They think they should do it and all that. Still not going to talk to that person about it until I know, can this person even buy, even if I wanted to sell it to them? Or are they just tire kickers and just giving me a lot of praise for my amazement and how great I am at training? That's great. But are you going to buy anything? Are you going to invest in yourself? Are you going to do ads? Are you going to buy my CBD oil? Are you going to buy the solar panels? No, and no. Then why am I wasting time talking to a person? Even when it comes to, let's just use solar panels in general. Well, obviously, to qualify, you have to have a home. Duh. You got to not be renting that home. That's the second thing. So now that I have you, you don't rent this house. You own a home. Do you plan on living at this house and staying here? Because that's another question. Because if they don't, then again, there's no point in moving forward with solar. You just got to know the person. You got to know exactly, and we talk about it a lot, and you guys get annoyed by it and probably like, okay, we get it, target market. Well, you got to know who your target is, because then once I know who the target is, and now I just get a room for those people, then now the sales are going to be a lot easier because that's who I wanted in the first place. They are already qualified. So now I know if I talk to them, they're going to buy, right? So I hope you guys learned from this video tonight. You guys can watch it over and over, but if you want, if you go back to the first video, which is in the group, video 1, this is video 2 of sales, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a good night.